So can the iPhone 15 Pro Max actually stand up against a $5,000 cinema rig? If you're a filmmaker, you've ran into the client that says, I can just shoot the same thing on my iPhone. What's the difference? Well, today we're gonna figure out just that. I have my iPhone 15 Pro Max, and we're gonna be putting it up against my Sony a7S III video rig. In this series, I'm gonna be taking these cameras up against each other in various production situations, starting with a reel of my Volkswagen GTI. We're gonna do some real estate content, we're gonna do some commercial work, and I wanna put these things to the test and see which one is actually more efficient, better quality, and I wanna see if your client is actually right. Can they shoot their whole commercial on an iPhone? Before we get into shooting, let's start with some specs. On the iPhone 15, we've got ProRes log at 4K 24 frames per second. On the Sony, we're gonna be shooting similarly with 4K 24 S-Log. Now you'll notice that I have the Sony mounted vertically on my gimbal. This is because we're gonna be shooting a reel for this first episode. So we're gonna be shooting a reel on the Sony, a reel on the iPhone. We'll go back into post, edit these, and see which one looks better. All right, so you can see we've got ProRes log 4K 24. It says max time 18 minutes. So we're gonna get into this. Also, do not mind the dirty car. It's been in the shop for a week, so it's gonna be dirty. I just needed something to capture today, and this was the only thing accessible for me. So let's get into this here. We're gonna start with a nice wheel shot. Let's go wide here. Okay, kind of do another one top down here. Okay, back wheel shot. This in-body stabilization on the iPhone is just incredible. I've really never seen anything like it. You can be super jittery and it'll just take away all of those jitters. It's really impressive. Actually, let's change that one up a little bit. Let's get some wide establishings. Yeah, that's sick right there. I'm gonna go pan down kinda. All right. Got all of my clips on the iPhone here. Let's see how many we're rocking with. 5, 10, 15. So we got 15 iPhone clips. I'm gonna grab the same amount on the Sony, try and do the same angles, and then we'll head back and do some post. I can already see the difference in dynamic range. Like, this looks way better already. Oh boy. Just wrapped up shooting. I want to talk about a couple things I noticed just during the shooting experience. Obviously, the iPhone is a lot smaller. I have no other rigs on here. There's no gimbal, there's no handles, there's no polarizers, lenses, nothing. It's just the raw iPhone. Super easy to maneuver. The in-body stabilization is out of this world on this thing. Sony has really good in-body stabilization, but I haven't seen it like this before. That's pretty crazy. For the Sony, it's obviously a lot bigger, bulkier, heavier, but right off of the bat, like I already said, I noticed that beautiful dynamic range, the crisp quality. I had much more zoom ability that was stabilized rather than zooming in on the iPhone, it wasn't as stabilized. So that was really nice about the Sony. Other than those minor details, the shots actually look pretty similar on the small screens. I'm very curious to see what it'll look like on a big screen. So let's head back home and start doing post-production. All right, here we are back at home. I've got all the footage onto my computer. On my hard drive, I got 2 folders, one for iPhone, one for Sony. We're gonna start diving into the iPhone footage. I've already played around a little bit. I wanna talk to you guys about some things. We're gonna jump into my screen and take a look now. All right, here we are in Premiere Pro. I've got my footage down below on the timeline here. You can see I've already color graded a few of these clips. I wanna talk about a couple of things though. Number one, this footage has been a little bit difficult to work with, not gonna lie. From import to playback, it has just been struggling to render fully, but I think I got it in a good spot, so let's keep taking a look. So you can see with these clips, obviously that in-body stabilization on the iPhone is really nice and super smooth. The overall color grade and the depth of field and the dynamic range is decent. I'm not a huge fan of the color science on this, honestly, and I just have a basic Apple LUT that I'm using with this, but if I turn that off, there's our log, and there's our LUT. It's pretty decent. I tweaked a couple other things in here as well, but that is what that looks like. Let's just do a few more clips here. These look pretty decent. I'm not impressed, but I have definitely seen better and worked with stuff that's easier before. Let's jump to one of these other clips here and edit this. I'm gonna go to this last clip here, copy, jump to this wide establishing shot, paste attributes, lumetri color, boom. That actually looks pretty decent. I do like that. The sky looks really nice. You can see a lot of that detail has been retained in there with the clouds. The car looks good. The contrast between everything looks nice. Let's fit that again. Let's see what this shot looks like from start to finish. I mean, it's a good looking shot. After getting the footage to run properly and render, it is looking pretty solid. I'm very curious to see how this looks against the Sony. Do a few more clips here. Just gonna cut the ends off of this one and paste some attributes on it. Slide that over. Another establishing wide shot, same kind of thing. That's a cool clip. I like that a lot. Let's just breeze through these quickly. First shot looks pretty solid. That looks great. That looks great. This looks pretty solid. A little bit blue in the paint. This one looks great. This is by far probably the best in terms of contrast and color grade. This looks good. This looks good. Good. Solid. Not so great. Not so great. And not so great. And good. So those are the iPhone shots. Now let's jump into a new timeline and do Sony. All right, right off of the bat, the Sony footage imported like that, and the iPhone footage took about 5 minutes. I don't know what that means, if I shot in a wrong format or something, but the Sony footage imported way faster. So I actually left it recording the whole time for the Sony clip. We're at 4 minutes, so I'm gonna color grade this whole clip and then make some cuts. So we're gonna jump into our input LUT, browse, and I use S-Log3 1/over is what I'm assuming it will probably be. Nope, we're gonna go to 2/over. Let's try that. Maybe it's 3/over. Yeah, sure enough. I didn't realize I was that high of exposure. Boom. Let's drop some highlights a little bit too. Oh, right off of the bat, the quality is just unmatched here. I love Sony so much. I'm excited for these detail shots where I could zoom into that 75. Oh, look at the depth of field too. And I could have shot in cinematic mode with this, but I don't really trust the depth of field with the iPhone. This looks sharp right here though. Yeah, you can just tell right away. I already know I'm gonna have a clear winner with this. I may be a little biased, but. All right, playing this back here, I'm just gonna take a look. I mean, the footage plays back just flawlessly. And look at these shots. This looks great. I mean, the color science is there, the stabilization is there, the depth of field is there. That shot, oh my gosh. And that shot too, that's just, yeah. So to really quickly recap, I think the iPhone did a wonderful job. And if I'm gonna be completely transparent, this was one of my first times actually experimenting with the log footage. Usually I just shoot on the normal 4K 24 camera setting on the iPhone and don't do any color grading in post. But I wanted it to be fair between the Sony and the iPhone and use log on both. So could I have color graded a little better? Yes, I could have spent a little bit more time. But for someone who wants to film a quick reel, I don't assume they would take very long to color grade. They would just slap a LUT on and probably call it a day. So I wanted to replicate that as well. With the Sony, it did take a little bit longer to set up and it's a little bit heavier, obviously a little bit more expensive, but for the quality that you get, the dynamic range and the depth of field are just so much more crisp, and not to mention the footage is so much smoother and way easier to edit in Premiere. I don't know why it was so difficult with the iPhone, but I don't want to deal with that. I like the Sony a lot more and I'll choose that every time. Now, I do want to wrap up with this. I do think there are different tools for different jobs. The iPhone works really great for real estate tours. I don't want to bring my big, hefty camera into a home if there's tight corners I need to round. This works really great for that. But for stuff out in the open, especially natural light, the Sony wins every time with its dynamic range, depth of field, and great quality. So if you have a client that wants to shoot on iPhone or they have someone internal that can do iPhone stuff for cheaper, that is completely fine. Honestly, most people will not notice a difference. Me being in filmmaking for 10 years and a lot of other filmmakers, they will notice a difference in that dynamic range, that depth of field, and that quality. But for what you're doing on Instagram and social media, probably doesn't matter too much. Now, for someone that's doing larger films, in our next episode, we're gonna dive into doing actually horizontal interview style footage, and I wanna see the difference there because that is gonna be very interesting. But for reels, I think either or are really good. This is obviously a better choice for the amateur filmmaker or someone who needs quick shots, quick and easy workflow, besides the length of time for importing, unless I did something wrong, but everything else is super quick and easy. Easier to set up and a little bit lighter than the Sony, this would be a good option. But for the filmmaker who wants to step it up a little bit and have that good quality for social media, I think the Sony would knock it out of the park every single time. If you have any questions regarding either of these pieces of equipment, please comment down below, and also comment down below, which would you choose? Would you choose the iPhone for quick and easy, or would you choose the Sony for better quality, better dynamic range, and better depth of field? Let me know, and we will see you in the next one.